Hi everybody, this is Yaya Han and I'm a cosplayer based in Atlanta, Georgia. I am doing my first ever video weblog, video chat, whatever you may call it, as a result of my Shindig online chat event not working out tonight. Unfortunately, too many people signed up, hundreds and hundreds of people logged on at the same time, and we actually destroyed their server. Well, we crashed it. I'm super disappointed that I didn't get to see everybody and didn't get to answer your questions and hang out with you guys. See, I dolled myself up. I'm dressed up as Ada Wong from Resident Evil. I thought I would make a video to answer at least some of your questions. Of course, because you guys are awesome, within an hour you sent me hundreds of questions. So I'm not going to answer all of them right now because that would take hours and nobody wants to see that. So for today, I'm going to answer 15 questions. I'm going to start off with the question, what inspired you to make costumes and dress up in your own creations? And this was asked by Kevin William Gant, Tristan Rogers, Aaron Agro Dickerson, Israel Villa, Stephanie Nicole, Marcus Bronat, and Maurizio Abanto. All of you guys wanted to know what inspired me to start cosplaying. Well, that started over 13 years ago. I got into cosplay because I've always loved these characters and these shows and series. At the same time, I was always a very creative person. I drew and painted throughout my childhood years and teenage years. When I first went to an anime convention, that was Anime Expo 1999, so it was quite a long time ago. I saw people dressed up in costume, and something in me just kind of clicked. Like everything that I loved about anime and characters and art and creativity and crafting, it just all came together, and that became the answer for all of these things that I wanted. So immediately I started researching how to get my hands on a sewing machine and sew, how to make costumes. I had no idea how to style wigs, cut wigs, dye wigs, make jewelry. I had no knowledge whatsoever. But I was very determined. A friend of mine showed me how to sew regular stitch on a sewing machine and how to read a pattern, and I just started experimenting, like blindly seeing what I can do with fabrics. Just doing things wrong until I could do it right, or at least until it looked right. And just throughout the years, gathered more knowledge, kept honing my skills and reading, doing a lot of research online, trading ideas and techniques with friends. I mean, anything that I could pick up, I did. And it really was a hobby born of pure love and passion and just determination to make it work. All right, question number 2 is from Mercy Nixon, Arian, and Gloria Cardoza, as well as Jason Ong. What drives you to cosplay who you do? Is it the design? Is it the character's attitude? Or something else? That is a great question, and I used to literally cosplay my favorite characters. In my first few years of cosplaying, every character you saw, it was just like, I just love this character, I have to draw, I don't care what it takes, I have to make this costume. And then I started taking cosplay more serious as an art form. I really enjoyed the creation process, really relished in the craftsmanship, and then I started choosing characters that I still felt a connection to, but if I really, really loved their design, they didn't have to be my favorite character. It is definitely a combination of the design challenge, whether it's a project I want to take on, as well as a question of, can I represent this character correctly? The next question was asked by Jeffrey Lewis, John Asper, and Alejandro Astina Biama. They all wanted to know which character is my favorite that I've cosplayed from. First of all, it's very difficult just to pick one single costume because I have made so many of them, and because you put so much effort and time into them, they all have sentimental value. However, I love two characters particularly. One is Carmilla from Vampire Hunter D because it is such a total transformation. Makeup, prosthetic ears, cat eye contact, fangs. By the time you put the costume on, you look so different and that you can't help but sort of act like that character. It's a very character-driven costume. My favorite character to just like run around and cosplay as is actually Catwoman. She has such duality to her. You know, is she a villain? Is she a hero? She has so many mixed aspects to her, and no matter what, she is this confident, empowered woman. And I love her outfit. It's such a simple design, but has so much impact, and you know, it's just fun. And I like latex. I like the look of latex. So, Catwoman. The next question is from Kayla Smith. She says, "Hi Yaya, my question involves your skill. I was wondering if you took classes or lessons on how to sew, create designs, or was it all self-taught?" I was indeed self-taught. I did not go to college for fashion or costume design. I really wish I could have, because it could have definitely helped me build a better base and foundation for all of my costuming. Everything I have learned is through a lot of experimenting and failing and making mistakes. But at the same time, I think it sort of lets me think outside the box. I can use techniques in, you know, a broader way than maybe a teacher could have limited me to. In general, I definitely encourage people to pursue fashion and costume design, and, you know, definitely go to school, take whatever classes you can, and if you can't afford to take classes, go on YouTube, and, you know, you can learn a ton of techniques just by watching videos, or, you know, even looking for step-by-step tutorials. And next we have a question from Kirsten Pinjili. At any point in your career, did you do commissions? Do you make costumes for friends? Yes, I absolutely did commissions. In fact, actually formed a costume commission business. I realized after a year of doing it that what I really enjoyed was designing, and I wanted to also not limit my items to only people who could save up a lot of money and afford something very elaborate and expensive. I wanted to be able to offer things to a lot of different people, and that's why I ended up going the route of creating a commercial store, carrying items that are, you know, unique and handcrafted, but that cost under $30, so a lot of people can buy them and enjoy them. Kirsten also had a second question, and that is, what's the hardest thing about a costume you ever have to make? I've made some pretty weird and ridiculous things. Making my Dawn costume, as well as the egg that I needed to sit in for the performance that I had, was very challenging because I took on a lot. I made Carmilla and Dawn at the same time and prepared for 2 contests within the same month. I had to really hustle to get all of those things done, and Dawn had wings and details, and Carmilla had a crazy wig, and, you know, tons of fabric for the sleeves and train. And so I think that was probably the most stressed out I was working on costumes, you know. And now David Krupp asks, what was the hardest costume you ever made? Not in terms of material gathering or tricky rigging. Which one took the most dedicated man-hour to complete? That would probably be my Carmilla costume from Vampire Hunter D. I made it in 2009, and it became one of those projects that literally like consumed my life. I would like roll out of bed into my workroom and sew on the costumes and craft, and then at night roll back into bed. It was really one of those projects where you could lose yourself. Next up, we have Tyler Lawrence. He's asking what type of embroidery machine I use. I actually do not use a commercial embroidery machine. All the embroidering I do is on my sewing machine, and I just freehand using a very, very tight, it's a satin stitch. Of course, I would love an embroidery machine. I think at this point it's just, giving myself enough costumes that require extensive embroidery so I have the excuse to buy it, because I also want an industrial sewing machine that can sew leather. What's your process in making a very complex and detailed costume on a tight schedule? That is also what Tyler is asking. I handle a elaborate costume in a very planned manner where I make sure that I have all the materials needed first. I get my reference and then I start hoarding materials. Down to notions, if I need zippers, I make sure I have enough thread in the right colors, buttons and the snaps and, anything you might need. I also make sure I buy the wigs that I need, the shoes, anything that I have to order and that needs time to come in, because when creativity hits, I don't want to have to stop because I ran out of something specific, or I didn't buy enough fabric, or my costume is complete but I'm just waiting on the wig, but the convention is in 2 days. All right, now we have Robert Diaz, who's asking me, has there ever been a cosplay that you've done and regretted? You look back and go, what was I thinking? Well, Robert, I certainly have had costumes that were more failures than success. Off the top of my head, the two that I can think of would be Belle Dandy from Oh My Goddess. I think that the wig I chose was too close of a color to my skin tone. Together, it was just like, it's like blending into my skin. And so I also didn't sew a wig comb into the wig. I was rushed on time. I think I made the costume in 3 days. And so the wig kept sliding back. And so when you don't look good at a convention because you had to rush, then you don't feel good, and then the whole costume experience is not that great. Next we have Nancy Miorelli. She had 2 questions. Number 1 is, what do you do with your own costumes? Do you dismantle them? Do you wear them around again? Do you sell them? Give them to your friends? Take up closet space? Well, you pretty much answered my question right there, Nancy. Yes, I do all of that. I don't dismantle a lot of my costumes, but I have reused parts of a costume for another, because it's like, hey, it's laying around, why not? I do rewear most of my costumes. Mainly my issue is because I go to so many conventions that I get really tired of wearing my costumes very fast. It takes probably 4 to 5 times, and then I'm like, all right, I need a break from this costume and I want to make something new. I want to, do something different, look different, and challenge myself to make something different. So they definitely take a lot of closet space. I actually have 3 closets for my costumes, as well as a storage place that I pay for every month. Not just for my costumes, there are other things in there, but definitely a big part of it is my costume collection. So maybe I do need to do another sale. It's been a while, but of course, as an artist, I feel like I don't want to sell anything that is, not top-notch quality, and some of them definitely were very amateur. So. All right, her second question is, where do you get the funds to make your costumes? Cosplay is a very expensive hobby. It is a very time-consuming hobby, and so most people do struggle financially with it. For me, I was incredibly lucky to be able to make cosplaying into part of my business. So every costume I make, it is actually beneficial to my company because I'm producing new content, and I am also continuing to work on my own skills as an artist so I can create bigger and better things for people. So now we have Leon York, who asking very similar questions. If I make enough money from cosplay, or if I have other ways to make up for the lifestyle that I lead. Well, I do make enough dough for cosplaying. Okay, sure, I'm super happy about that, but remember, I've been doing this for 13 years. I have been through a lot of hard times. You know, I've struggled with my family understanding why I chose this path. I've struggled with friends understanding. I've struggled with myself wondering, why am I doing this? Should I, you know, get another job? Definitely been broke and poor before, but now I'm just forever grateful to be able to make a living doing something I really love, and that is being creative, that is dressing up, that is making costumes, hoping that I can inspire people to get into cosplay, to, you know, not be discouraged through the challenges of cosplay, and just really enjoy this for what it is. So I'm very, very, very grateful. All right. So next up, we have Victoria Felder. She has 2 questions. She's asking what advice I have for people in the cosplay community who are not Asian or white. She is speaking of Black or Hispanic descendants who don't look like the characters. Okay, well, Victoria, you are definitely touching on a sensitive subject. It is, you know, very unfortunate that in cosplay there's a lot of judgment, and whether you judge someone for not looking like a character because they're too tall or too short or whatever, it is very, especially hurtful when they're judging you for, you know, your skin tone or for your heritage. I've been a great advocate of total tolerance in cosplay. I think whether you are Black, Hispanic, or even Asian, or white, you should be able to cosplay whoever you want to. I certainly cosplayed many times out of my, you know, ethnicity and have also been judged for it. Don't be discouraged, and don't let the people who are saying things like this stop you from cosplaying who you want to. Victoria's second question is, what are your absolute must-have cosplay items, such as fabric, glue, hair gel, wig brands, etc.? Oh goodness, now I can just list off everything. Well, you have to start off with a reliable sewing machine and really, really sharp, good scissors. I also really, I think good footwear is very important. Definitely think of having insoles. I mean, you really have to ask. Insoles are a must-have, at least for girls who cosplay. One question left. This is from Jonathan Chavez, Andrea Austin, and Princess Haku. What are some of the tips you'd share for those who are new to cosplay and those who aren't overly confident? Well, for everybody who is starting cosplay new, it is an overwhelming world. Cosplay used to be small enough that when you joined, you could feel like you're speaking to peers. Everybody was on the same level, and you can ask anybody any question. That has changed a lot in the last few years. Cosplay has grown to becoming an industry. As a new cosplayer, it can be very intimidating, and you won't be able to reach out to people the way we used to be able to. You kind of have to, you know, make your own friend circle. I think that's the most important part, is to find a group of like-minded people, and you can then trade techniques with them. You can ask them for help, you can ask them questions, and you can also teach them things that maybe they didn't know. And you can enjoy conventions with them. And then the other advice that I have is to just not be afraid to experiment, and to not get frustrated with the lengthy process of researching and of practicing your skills. It is a lot of hard work, it is money, it is time, and so if you want to do something, do it right. And just enjoy yourself, don't let the trolls get you, connect with people, and just know that this is a wonderful activity, and the more people who do it, the better. I had a great time making this video. I absolutely loved all of your questions. Thank you so much, everybody. We're going to do this soon. I have many, many more questions to answer for you guys, and I encourage you to keep sending in your questions via message to me on facebook.com/YayaCosplay. Thank you, and see you around.